Testing. Yep.
Yo, yo, yo.
Will Mosley, are you there?
I am. Give me a sec. What's up, guys?
That wasn't obvious.
I don't care. There's no video of it.
Is that literally the reason that you turned your video feed off right there?
Yeah, because I figured it out like earlier today, and I was like, that's uncomfortable.
Well, I always like to kind of like start the podcast on an uncomfortable note. And speaking of uncomfortable, Josh Allen. I feel like every single year, dude, we get to this point with the draft where like moments before something happens, whether it's Juwan James smoking out of a like a
Face
gas
mask.
mask bong, or this year with Allen, dude. And I don't even know where to start with this, dude, other than to just say, like, do we just chalk that entire story up to like high school bullshit? Or like,
Yeah.
Does that matter? Does you as a high school person matter now?
I mean, I look back at myself when I was that young, and now I'm just such a different person from then. He was definitely, as Will, if we've looked at Will's statements, you look at he was 15, he was probably the big hot shot in high school, and he was just doing whatever was cool at the time. And I feel like he's definitely a different person now. He's learned from his mistakes, and he did the right thing and deleted them. He should have came forward with it maybe a little bit earlier, but really, who cares? He's still he's a completely different person from that point, and I don't think it's going to hurt his stock at all. What do you think, Will?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if teams cared less about high school tweets and more about skill, maybe the NFL would have more than 2 good games a week on good weeks. Like, I hate the fact that I'll give you when a draft story comes around, like, don't get me wrong, something comes up where there's a domestic violence thing or someone has like drug problems or something like that they like seriously can't get over, and that's a red flag to you. All right, I'll give it to you. But like, I'm not going to defend his tweets at all, like using any of like the slang that he used. Like, any of the racial slurs were terrible. Shouldn't have done it. He admitted that it was stupid, reckless. He was young and dumb. And don't get me wrong, that's really stupid. I'm not high on Josh Allen, but I'm not high off him because he has a shitty completion percentage, and he played in a weak conference, and he still went like 8-4 and 8-5. Like, I just don't think he's that good. But he's not going to drop on a draft board for me because of some fucking tweet he sent when he was 15 years old, when he was some douche quarterback at his high school. Like, he was quoting lyrics for one. Like, don't get me wrong, shouldn't have said it. That's prefacing all this. But he's quoting lyrics. The worst one for me was when he was tweeting, "If it ain't white, it ain't right." That's can't say that.
That's like white supremacy, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's you can't say that. But I mean, he seems to be a completely different, smarter person. That's the first bad thing you've heard about him. Obviously, he deleted these tweets a long time ago because he's smart enough to realize that he was being an idiot. Excuse me. And I just feel like it's a huge problem for the NFL because around draft time, we hear all these stories about a draft prospect's high school teacher saying that he didn't work well in groups in first period biology in 11th grade, so he won't be a good fit in the locker room. And that shit does not matter to me. And if the NFL cared more about evaluating talent and less about a prospect's personality, maybe we'd actually have good product on the field.
I mean, I agree with everything you're saying, but I also think it's interesting to explore the idea of why anyone in the NFL would give relevance to anything that anyone said before they got to college. I mean, we all are such different people than we were in high school. It's fucking ridiculous. And so I don't understand why that workplace would choose to value that sort of criterion whatsoever.
Because
do you think there's anyone in that locker room, like in the Browns locker room, that would take offense to that? Like, take offense to them drafting him tonight?
Oh God, I don't know, man. I mean,
if you were a player in the NFL, do you think there's anyone that cares in that locker room that this kid did that when he was 15 years old?
I mean, I think
would think no.
someone says something to him for sure, but I don't know. That's the thing, dude. I don't know. All I know is that like I woke up this morning and the big story all day was the fact that this kid said something in high school, and I'm just I'm just genuinely confused why we give any credence to what someone who's 22 now would say when they were 15. I just don't understand it. There's no other interview scenario, maybe sans military, where anything like that would occur.
I'll give you these things aren't good. And like you said, as someone who's not big, like I said, as someone who's not big on him, I don't think he should be drafted first overall anyway.
Bro,
I think the dude should slide outside of the top 5 like easy. I mean, I think that he's not even that good, but
he's a left-handed Blake Bortles.
He's Blake Bortles. That's incredibly.
Yeah, he's a left-handed Blake Bortles, no question. I don't like him as a football player either, dude.
He's Brock Osweiler.
But again, why is this a story?
I think that's a little bit closer.
Will Mosley, why is it a story?
Because they need something to talk about on draft day. And like I said, there hasn't been anything negative to come out about this kid. So everyone was trying to find anything that they could. And when someone looked back and found out that someone had screenshotted a bunch of tweets from when he was 15, they snagged those and they ran with it.
It was Baker Mayfield's people, man. Baker Mayfield's people did this. He got tired of the limelight being on him, and he got his people on. He's like, dude, we got to find something on this kid.
Well, dude, I
don't hate the theory.
It is always like an excellent question to ask, though, like when one of these stories comes out, who benefits most from it, dude? And when you sort of ask yourself that in this scenario, it like what Mac's saying isn't all that out of the question, I don't think.
Wouldn't think it'd be Darnold's people, a little closer to home, a little more of a chance.
Yeah, because I think you have – I mean, the past – like with all the shit that's gone on this week and the Browns bringing in Mayfield the other day, and like now there's this thing of they might pick Mayfield first. Who knows? We'll find out at 8. Who knows? That could have happened. It probably didn't, but like I like to think that it could have.
Yeah, well, the scenario that I like to think happened more than any is that Josh Allen did this to himself because he doesn't want to be drafted by the Browns.
Ooh.
All right, Josh Rosen.
Josh Rosen. Fuck. That's a fine. Damn it. Yeah, Josh Rosen. Is it Josh Rosen? I get a mix.
No, it's Josh Allen. Josh Rosen was the guy earlier. He said he didn't want to play for apparently said he didn't want to play for the Browns and would rather go to the Giants or something.
Well,
dude,
yeah.
I'm not going to knock a kid for saying that.
I'm not going to knock any human alive for acknowledging that they would rather exist in New York City than Cleveland. Do you think anyone in Cleveland doesn't acknowledge that that's a fact?
They're blind if they don't.
Okay, so Mac Young, like you said earlier, the draft is at 8, and you're a Browns fan. You want them to take who?
I want them to take Darnold with the first pick, and then they will with the things the way I see it shaking out. I'm not going to be Mel Kiper or whatever, but I see that Bradley Chubb or Saquon Barkley is there at 4, and they take one of them, and then you still get a really, really good player at 4. Because I feel like just a lot of these quarterbacks are gonna go 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, or two out of the 3 will be quarterbacks, and you have Bradley Chubb or Saquon Barkley that's sitting there at 4, and you can't lose on that one. But then you get your pick of the quarterback, and they have done the thing in the past where they've had a lot of like 2 first-round picks. Definitely not in this position where they've had them this close together, but they've had a lot of like 2 first-round picks. And a lot of the time they take that second first-round pick and pick up a quarterback that has dropped into later in the first round, and that has sucked every time. So now you have your choice of quarterback. Just take who you think is going to be first, and then you get a really good player at 4.
Well,
that's what I think they should do.
I mean, I don't hate it. I've told Mac earlier in the week, my logic is if you're interested in possibly Baker Mayfield, you've already shown interest in Darnold, you like Allen, and you have the 4th pick, you're guaranteed to get a quarterback that you like at the 4th pick. Like that by math, you're guaranteed to do that if you keep the 1st pick and you just wait till the 4th pick. And if you think that Bradley Chubb is the best athlete and that's a guaranteed hit, why not sign him as the number 1 so that New York doesn't switch up and do something crazy on you? Or like the Jets trade up to 2, the Giants trade back, somebody takes that 3 spot and takes away like that Bradley Chubb aspect after you have a quarterback. Things can change in the draft, and I just feel like you take the thing that you're a surefire, that you know. Like I don't understand like you're scouting people. This goes into the Josh Allen thing. Like if the Browns were like super sold on Josh Allen and these tweets came out, is that really going to deter you after you've spent all this money and time like evaluating his skills and talents? You're going to be like, these tweets, this is going to change my mind. And so for that aspect, I feel like you just have to be sold on that pick. And so if you're not sold on whatever quarterback, you're taking it 1. If you're not 100% sold on it and you're entertaining 3 guys, why not take a defensive end that you're sold on that's going to be a lock pick? You put that next to Myles Garrett. That's an incredibly scary defensive line, and now you've shored up a lot more holes. And I just don't understand why you'd take a quarterback at 1 when you've entertained 3 and you have a pick at 4.
I mean, are you convinced that any of these quarterbacks are going to be really good pros? I don't mean – I guess what I mean, and I don't mean that as a slight to any of them at all, because clearly they were like very good college quarterbacks. Dude, I don't trust any of these guys. I just don't. And
mathematically, one's going to be good. Like it just mathematically, one of them is going to be an above average quarterback in the NFL. Now, does that mean he's a great quarterback? No, because I think as the last year's playoff showed, we got a lot of shitty quarterbacks in the NFL who are winning. But for that reason, also, like, I don't know, whoever the Browns take, I think it's going to sit for a year. I don't think it really matters if you take him at 1 or 4. Take him at 1. I think the odds are 2 quarterbacks get taken at 2 and 3, and you can do what you want at 4. Depends on what the pay difference is. I mean, I know it used to be like ridiculously high for the number 1 overall pick, but I mean, if there's any difference in that and you're not sure about that quarterback, why not give them more money to the dude you're sold on? If it's Saquon, which it shouldn't be because he's a running back, and like Bradley Chubb.
But I don't understand that either, Will. Like, you discount – and again, I'm not saying that – I don't have a fucking big board like Mel Kiper, dude, and quite frankly, I don't care. But you discount Saquon because he's a running back, but you're saying also that you should take who you think is the sure thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you think – I don't think Saquon's a sure thing because he's a running back. I don't think running backs are sure things. I think the only running back we've seen who's been a sure thing through college into the pros was Adrian Peterson, and he's a freak of fucking nature.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. It'll be interesting to see, man. I mean, I can't remember a year for a long time where there were so many question marks at the top of the board, right? I mean, like, I feel like in years past, like, it was evident who the first pick was going to be a week before the draft, and it's kind of cool, man. Like, I think it's cool that we're at a point right now where it's 6:20, you know, we're 100 minutes away from the start of the draft, and we still have no idea who the first pick is going to be. And I assume that at some point during this podcast, someone's going to break some sort of news on who it's going to be. But still, I mean, that's interesting, man. That implies to me that there are a lot of teams who are really unsure of who these guys are, and that's interesting to me.
Yeah, it's definitely hit a point where. It's definitely hit a point where it's ridiculous that all of the shows this morning, I've seen 5 different people say that you could take 5 quarterbacks in the top 7.
That's insane.
I've seen that too.
That is absolutely ridiculously overvaluing one position.
But there's only 5. There's how many? If there's only 4 good ones in the world, Will, then you have to. That's just a market economy. Like, you have to overvalue it if there are that few of them.
You don't have to when you've looked at the results from the playoffs this past year and you had 3 out of the 4 final standing quarterbacks not be that good. Like, you don't have to have that great of a player if you take sure things like a Bradley Chubb who you know is going to get after people on a defensive line. You know that he is NFL ready. You know he's going to ball out.
Well, to be clear,
I feel like he's a solid pick. I'll latch my name to that. Put that in the time capsule.
Put that in the time capsule, dude. Wow, that was a drafty segment, dude. This is from the Nosebleeds podcast. We'll be right back. Damn, that was drafty. All right, that was good. That was good.
Testing. Okay.
All right, yeah, let me double check. I'm still rolling. Yep.
Dude, what if Josh Allen did it to himself? That is
God, that would be so incredible.
I like that. That was good. I liked that.
I mean, would you it would be smart, right? Like, you don't want I understand money and all that, and be the prestige of being the first pick, yada yada. But all things considered, you don't want that, right? If you're one of the guys,
could he pull an Eli? If you really don't want it, hasn't the precedent been set in the NFL that you can just pull an Eli?
Yeah, by Manning's. His last name isn't Manning, though, man. I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure about that.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's ridiculous that anyone got away with it, whether your last name's Manning or not. Because if I was a GM, I'd just call your bluff. I'd be like, really, you're gonna sit out a year? Okay, have fun with that.
All right, we gotta talk about LeBron James.
Oh, we have to talk about LeBron blames, and
fuck, I'll be right back.
We just see how you want to do this. Trying to look into. I'm trying not to be very loud. Fuck.
No, that was good. I liked. I mean, there was no problem on my end.
Well, problem is I need to turn my volume down. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Am I softer?
Yes.
You can still hear me comfortably though?
No.
No?
It's, I mean,
what about now?
Not as good.
What about
It's
now?
too low.
Still too low?
Go back to what you were.
Still too low?
That's better.
All right. Hopefully that does not cause any problems.
No, I just think you're softer than everyone else, though. Usually, I mean, that's fine. Usually you're louder than everyone else.
See, that's what I've been trying to counteract. I'll listen back to a couple episodes, and I've been trying to.
And you're significantly louder than everyone.
And it's because I turned the gain up on my microphone, but it's because I have to turn it up high enough for garage.
Well, now you sound super somber, and it's kind of weird because you're not talking about something that's somber, but your volume is really somber to me.
You sound like NPR.
I just got that super silky voice that everyone wants to hear on the radio. Everybody.
Today on from the Nosebleeds Sports Podcast, we are going to discuss LeBron James.
I think nope. Fuck you, Mac. We'll start there. This is from the Nosebleeds Podcast. My name is Andrew Levin. The voice you just heard, that smooth silk coming through the microphone, NPR style. That's producer Mac Young. Mac, how's it going, dude?
I'm doing pretty well, guys. How are we doing today?
Heading off to some sort of bougie job interview tomorrow, right?
I wouldn't say that. I'm but a summer research assistant for a professor in a grad program. Not quite.
Will Mosley has exchanged the unfashionable beanie for the backwards cap that we are all accustomed to. How's it going, William?
I feel comfortable, feel back at home. You know what I'm saying?
Is LeBron James going to be a 76er next year?
There's a decent chance, and if he's a 76er, then that team might go 82-0.
I mean, I don't think they're going 82-0, dude, but I think if you had asked me, I don't know. Dude, the threshold for me was last night. And, dude, I understand they won the game, and, we can get into that with Mac, dude, and how he loves to say that he doesn't care, but in reality, He's such a fucking fanboy, and we're gonna get to that in a second. But dude, I'm literally sitting there in real time last night, and I watched myself change my mind. Like, I think he's going to Philadelphia now. I don't think the banana boat is beating Philadelphia as it currently exists.
Well, no, because Carmelo Anthony is a bum. So that would be one reason. Like, one of those people is a bum, and then the other dude who was like known for it with Bosch in that group, not on the banana boat, obviously, but in that group, isn't in the league.
I mean, yeah, and I know, like, dude, we'll have to see on Dwayne Wade, dude. I know, like, shit's sort of off. It's obviously up in the air right now, right? Like, the season for him just ended a few milliseconds ago or whatever. But, dude, we love to talk about LeBron as a sports fucking genius, and if he really is a genius, then I don't see how we can sort of look around him and think that any other scenario is better than that one. Embiid is a literal fucking creative player. I've never seen anyone or anything at his size move the way that he does. I don't understand it. Their point guard only dunks. I've never seen anything like that in my fucking life. The kid can't shoot. All he can do is dunk, and he's still a brilliant all-star. And you have Robert Covington, who was brilliant defensively. You have all these excellent role players that he can surround himself with, and they're young. They're so young. They're going to be relevant for 10 years.
And he wants Ben Simmons to take his place as like the next great one. Just kind of mentor him into that role.
Dude, it was an amazing sort of feeling for me last night to like watch. That Cleveland team is clearly on the decline. I don't think our resident Cavaliers fan would disagree with that. And I think LeBron has to, at some point, say to himself that if he is really serious about chasing Jordan's ghost, he has got to find himself something that isn't just rebuilding with veterans. He has to. And this is an unbelievable opportunity for him to make that change. And I really think that this is something that he's going to consider.
What made you last night decide this?
God, Mac, that team is so bad, man.
No, I understand that.
That's what I'm saying, though. And I understand they won the game last night, dude. But like, dude, just sitting there watching him score in double digits, and no one else on his team could get double buckets in the almost the entire first half, I believe. Right? It was the worst like that. It was right. It was awful. Like, sitting there watching him have to do that, dude, like, I just can't, like, he's so smart and he's so gifted, man. I can't imagine that that's something he has to realize that that's not sustainable. He has to.
I would think he would. It was pretty pitiful basketball last night, and
right.
I agree completely. It's pretty evident that, that he's out of there.
And is there a worse mismanagement of a superstar than Cleveland has done to LeBron James on two different occasions, not putting a team around him to win?
I mean, certainly
scratch the Kyrie like trade thing, because I mean, even before that, I don't think that team was built to compete with the Golden State Warriors going into this year as constructed with Kyrie. I mean, if Kyrie wouldn't have forced out, I don't think that team was in a position to be competing with the Warriors. I think they'd win the East easily, but I don't think they'd be competing with the Warriors. So, I mean.
Right, but like, and dude, I agree with what you're saying and maybe the first incarnation of LeBron in Cleveland, but weren't you also telling me like 6 weeks ago that at least like you had to tip your cap to Cleveland for trying everything they could at the deadline to like make the basketball team better?
Yeah, they tried everything they could, and it was a bad try. Like, I think it was too late. I think it was too late, and I think it was a bad try. Rodney Hood was a -13 last night.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Him and Larry Nance Jr. were the only Cavs that were minus.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like it really seems like they're running a sort of 2K style system where they're just going to go out and get names and names and names and names. And dude, I think that it seems pretty clear to me at this point that he's leaving. And if it's Los Angeles, I guess that wouldn't surprise me much either. But I think that if you're making the decision based purely up for basketball reasons, Philadelphia is clearly option A.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think if he wants to stay in the East, which he should, Philadelphia is definitely option A. I mean, I think the real question mark on this Cavs team in this playoff so far that I've talked to Mac about is their big men issue and why Kendrick Perkins has not gotten any minutes. That doesn't even make sense.
That's the big man you're wondering that doesn't have any minutes.
Yeah, dude. What other center do they have that could box out, that could, throw his body around, maybe throw some good low post defense in there, maybe grab you 8 or 9 boards a game? I mean, there's a center just sitting on the bench waiting, and the Perk man needs some love.
I mean, between K Perk and Tristan Thompson, who hasn't seen a basketball floor since he was caught cheating on his wife, they are really struggling for some tall people out there, man. And
they got trucked by Sabonis, Miles Turner, and Thaddeus Young, and they were not using their bench at all. And it was, so sad.
There were points during the second quarter yesterday where you would have thought Miles Turner was Wilt Chamberlain. He made one move. He made one spin move to the basket that I haven't seen Miles Turner make since he was a freshman in college.
Was that Jeff Green on him at that point?
Yeah. And Miles Turner is talented, but he made himself look so good last night.
And put this up on the poll, please, Mac, at _ the Nosebleeds. When you heard the Pacers had a Sabonis, did you automatically assume they were related? Yes or no? Because when I heard that they had a Sabonis, I thought that kid had to be Arvydas Sabonis's kid. But I thought there was. Oh, he is still 100%. Okay. I just thought that's a really common name over there. Maybe I'm being racist. Yada yada yada. Nope, they're related. 2 tall Sabonises, they have to be related. But yeah, the Pacers have a white Sabonis, dude, and his name isn't Arvydas. I didn't know that until yesterday when I turned the game on.
Yeah, no, he was in the trade with OKC. He was one of those dudes who wasn't doing anything in OKC, and then he got away from Russ like Victor Oladipo, and they were like, oh my God, this dude's actually a really good player.
Well, there was one point yesterday when I was watching the game where Victor Oladipo was sort of soaring at the rim like a fucking alien, where I thought to myself, what the fuck were the people in Orlando thinking?
I mean, he wasn't all right, to Orlando's defense, they mismanage every situation. So don't blame them for this. Like they've gotten it all wrong. They fucked up Shaq and Penny. They don't give the Magic any credit at all. They tried to build a championship team with their best player as a center. So that's just not going to work out.
Except they got to the NBA Finals.
Got their ass kicked.
Yeah, but they got there.
Dude, there was a time where you would have built your team around Dwight Howard also during that time, right? Like he was the second best player in the league.
Yeah, and then they gave him a coach who he hated.
Well, I mean, that's the NBA right there, man. If you don't hate your coach, are you really a star?
Ooh, that's fair. I don't know. I just think Victor Oladipo is a guy like Lance Stevenson that just plays great basketball when he's wearing a Hickory High jersey. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. When he has Indiana across the front of his chest, he's an all-star. And when he has anything other across his chest, he just doesn't know how to play the game of basketball.
One of my favorite live sports moments that I ever witnessed was a Lance Stevenson game in that like fucking 4 minutes that he was in Charlotte, dude, when he signed that awesome deal coming off that ridiculous playoff series where they almost beat the Heat, dude. He must have gone 1 for 50 that night, dude. It was fucking ridiculous. He was awful, man. I don't understand it either, dude. Now he's a
born ready. Just he will never in his mind not be born ready.
Oh, 100%, man. Like, I think you could drag that guy out there at like 75 and he's going to think that he can lock down who he needs to lock down, dude.
That dude straight up looks at LeBron and he's like, you know what's the difference between me and him? Politics. No, man.
Did you see the comment that when he was like, does LeBron ever comment back to you when you trash talk him? And he's like, no, LeBron doesn't trash talk anyone. It goes one in one ear, out the other. And he's like, well, no, he said one thing to me once. He said, boy, are you crazy? And that's the only thing he's ever said to Lance Stevenson. What's wrong with
Lance's answer was probably like, yes.
Yeah. Yes. 100%, man. I think it's fairly obvious that guy is wow. Yeah, he's out there, man. I mean, no doubt. Dude, there were just points last night where I didn't understand why any basketball team would let that guy go, that number 4 guy in yellow, dude. Take the name away, and I didn't understand it.
Yeah,
I'll
give it
gonna
to
be
you.
unreal.
But to get back to Mac's original question, man, like, he's leaving because that team isn't good, dude. And they're probably going to end up winning this series in 7. And that's great, man. And they'll move on and we'll get to see more LeBron. I know everyone wants to see this Philadelphia-Cleveland series. And I think you can maybe make an argument that if you get to that point and Philly beats them, like that only helps my argument that he's going there, dude. I don't think this team is good enough to make it to the finals this year. I don't know who's going to represent the East, but I don't think it's going to be them.
After watching this series, I couldn't agree with you more. It has been a train wreck, and they look disgusting. And I think, I mean, to me, it just looks like the Sixers. Because Toronto and Washington, I don't even know who's going to win that series. I had my pick from Washington a couple of weeks ago, and I think that actually might come true, even though it's 3-2. And then, yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think this series goes 7. I think the Cavs take it. I think it'll be Cavs Sixers. Sixers probably take the East. But I have one last question on Indy Cavs before I want to get out west. If this goes to a Game 7, would it be out of the realm of possibilities for Lance Stevenson to lick LeBron's face mid-game?
Dude,
just
I don't think
lick him in the face. Just lick him in the face. Like I think it could honestly break LeBron. I think that could break him. He would swing on him and he'd get kicked out of the rest of the game.
That's just a great question right there, dude.
You have to swing on the man that licks your face. If you don't, I'll put that up on the poll. If you have to swing on a man that licks you in the face disrespectfully. I don't know if there is a respectful licking of the face.
I love that you put the disrespectfully tag on the back of that.
I mean, if it's a nice gentle lick, like we'll see about it. But come on.
Well, we're an equal opportunity podcast, dude, in terms of when it comes to the listeners' romantic enjoyment, dude. But clearly, if someone were about to come up in my grill and think they can lick that shit, there's going to be a serious problem, dude. I think LeBron is unbreakable, man. I don't think that there's an athlete out. I think that dude could have any part. I don't think Lance Stevenson is even on the same planet as LeBron James, dude. And I think LeBron knows that. And that's the reason that he doesn't talk trash back to him, dude.
Oh, and that's the reason why this rivalry is so brilliant and amazing to get to watch in the playoffs in the East. I love when Lance Stevenson has Indiana on his chest because if Philly gets LeBron next year, Lance Stevenson will be in Indy and just nag the shit out of LeBron again next year in the playoffs. But we'll see about that in the Eastern playoffs next year. As for the West this year, that was a hell of a game last night in OKC, with OKC coming back down from 20 to avoid elimination.
That's why they got them, man. I mean, that's the reason that you go out and you get all those names, dude, because it matters in basketball, unlike any other sport. I mean, I still think they're going to lose the series, man, but I did think it was a fun game to watch.
Man, I'm not a huge stats guy. Carmelo Anthony was a -6. I mean, like that is why is he playing 25 minutes for this team even? Like I don't understand how you can put him out there for 25 minutes.
Do you think, I mean, just kind of saying what you said earlier with Oladipo, do you think that if he was on a different team, he'd get back to being mellow? Or is he just done?
No.
Stick a fork in him.
The dude went 0 for 9. What, like 3 games left in the season? I think they played the Warriors or the Rockets. They lost by like 3. Had a chance to win it, and Melo had gone 0 for 9 from 3 that game.
I mean, dude, welcome to the life of like having at least a little bit of an interest in the New York Knicks for the last 7 years. I mean, he's a highly inefficient player, man. He's never going to make more shots than he misses on average. And when you have a player like that on your team who isn't great defensively, he's going to set you back. I don't care what the circumstance is. And so they felt that like they needed the numbers to replace Kevin Durant. I don't think they were wrong about that. I just think that they they overestimated how much they were going to be able to help Melo defensively.
I agree. And I mean, obviously, Roberson going out halfway through the season, like
It hurt
losing
him.
his entire
Obviously,
leg, like that's
defender, dude. He's their best defender, clearly. Like, yeah.
And they're still a defensive team, but Melo's just that
But I mean,
bad.
even if you put Roberson back in and you pick up defensively and he goes 0 for 9 from 3, you're not getting the offense that you need from him when he's not giving that defense.
Yeah.
Like that's
Zero
the thing.
contribution.
If Melo was scoring offensively, they still do have enough good defense. Steven Adams is good. Corey Brewer's still solid. Paul George is a really great defender. Like,
I think all things being equal, you can make an actual argument that Melo's the worst player in the league when he shoots under 50% from the field. Because he takes so many shots. He's so inefficient when he's not shooting well, and he's a turnstile defensively.
maybe like Jokic.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's probably.
But Jokic, you can sit down at the post and just have him stand there, and he's still present. Melo's like
no, he's not.
He's still a big dude. Melo doesn't even play at the post. He just sits on the wing.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Carmelo's trash, and I think Utah is going to take it home. I think the problem for like OKC is they pulled this game off in Oklahoma City and not in Utah. I think if last night's game happens in Utah,
it's a huge.
And like I think Utah's drained because they had a chance to close it at their home court. They're young, that'll hurt them. Oklahoma City's energized going back home for Game 6. I think they take it there, but it being flip flopped, I think you saw with Donovan Mitchell running off the court saying "See you next year." Obviously, being like, "I'm not coming back here for a Game 7. Like we're shutting this shit down at home."
And they will.
You see the cockiness, you see the readiness. Like that dude is. I mean, he scored 23 last night. Like his shots didn't fall, but the dude's still a baller. And I mean, when you have Russ worried about shutting down Ricky Rubio, you have a pretty good chance of winning if like the best player on the other team is going to be distracted with, I'll repeat it, Ricky Rubio.
Who's not a shooter.
Dude, he would shut that shit down. Like,
there's no reason.
Like, I'm going to shut that shut down. Just let him shoot. He'll shut that shit down on his own. Look at his averages.
Exactly.
He won't have that night ever again.
Tremendous defense.
You want to shut that shit down? Don't let him pass. Let him shoot. He won't make it. He'll shoot horribly. And like I think that cost them a game, and then I think that ended up costing him a series. Yeah, that ended up costing him a series. That little feud that he had to have with. I don't understand why Westbrook doesn't realize like that dude's beneath me. Like it's like you said with LeBron and Lance. Like LeBron knows you're not on my level, so just stay down there, dude. Like just stay down there. Like Lance had that game against the Heat that he came back and he had like an insane game where he played great defensively and had like 25 or something. And yeah, like the villain, the heel is gonna have that every now and then. But Ricky Rubio is not a heel. He's just going out there, just balling, just being him. Spanish dude with a bun and a beard, just doing his thing, jamming out, hanging out. And Russell Westbrook is like worried about him. It's like, dude, you're the MVP of the league. Like you have averaged a triple-double 2 seasons in a row, and you're the most athletic player, probably the most athletic human on the planet. Like you do not have to lower yourself to a personal vendetta with Ricky Rubio when he's the second best player on the court for the other team.
But don't you love that about Russell Westbrook? And I don't know where the difference is, dude, because if LeBron did the same thing, I feel like we would give him hell for it. But, dude, there's something about Russell where I'm just like, yeah, dude, fuck yeah, Russell. Don't take shit from no one, man. And that's the reason that I think, yeah, dude, as much as I love Mitchell and I think the Jazz are going to win the series, and like I think that I would probably lean their way even in Game 6 probably because it's at home, right? And it is a pretty decent home court advantage. I just think, like, you have to acknowledge that they have the best player in the series, and in basketball that matters.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's the same reason why I'm weary about the game tonight with Milwaukee and Boston. I want to pick Boston. I think they're a better team. I think they're much better coached, but it's hard to say if Giannis plays 46 minutes, then he's not going to just take over a game and have like 44, 15, and 10. He could easily do it. We've seen it. So, I mean, I agree with that. I don't think the Thunder are dead necessarily, but And I do love seeing Russell Westbrook like go at somebody. And it'd have been a different story if he'd have gone at him and wouldn't have gotten 4 fouls and gotten taken out in the first half and would have actually been able to stop him. Like Rubio shot all the way like across the board higher than his season averages percentages in that game after Russ said he's going to shut that shit down. That is the definition of not shutting that shit down. Like that doesn't, like I don't understand why like that was thought of like, Russ came in and shut him down. Like, no, he didn't.
Yeah,
he did better than his season averages, and they won the game because Russ was out of his head. And don't get me wrong, I love seeing Russell Westbrook tenacious, and I love the fact that he does recognize the Lance Stevensons against him. But my problems with it in this scenario is Ricky Rubio is not a heel.
Too much focus on him.
Like, it didn't work. Like, you lost. You got caught up in your personal vendetta and lost. And that just doesn't bode well for the future of a team or for the arguments against him that you can't win when he's the best player on a team. Because if he's going to go out and do selfish things like that every now and then, he's going to cost you a playoff game.
Yep.
And
yeah, I mean, dude, every fucking analyst in the universe picked Portland over New Orleans, dude. There wasn't a single analyst that was saying that New Orleans was going to win that series, dude, and they couldn't have won any more handedly, and that's because Anthony Davis. That's just basketball, man. And so, like, how do you, like, the series that are remaining in the first round, you feel which way? Like, you're leaning which way on those series that are left? Toronto, Washington, you're leaning?
It's going to go 7, and I think Toronto takes it at home. I hope they don't. I hope John Wall wins and the Toronto gets kicked out. And, like, that would just be hilarious if they went full Toronto.
And you like Cleveland in 7 as well?
I like Cleveland in 7. I like Boston in 7. I think Milwaukee can win tonight. We'll see.
No, I think it's done tonight. I think Boston takes it tonight.
Out west,
I have the Wizards. I'm just being stubborn and sticking with my pick from 2 weeks ago.
Will be a cool story. Real cool story.
Out west, we still got the Utah OKC series. I got Jazz. Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, the Jazz, man. I mean, OKC's just such a fucking enigma, dude. And I don't know what to do with them, man. I haven't known what to do with them all season, but
what's the last series of live out west? Portland's over, Golden State's over, OKC, Utah's over, or still going.
There's just one left, right?
Yeah, there's one. Jeez, who's the last?
No, that's it.
Houston, Minnesota finished last night.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, yeah. So we all got Utah winning this series. I got it in 6. And then we got everything out east.
All right, man. Well, we will hit NHL next. This is from the Nosebleeds. We will be right back. All right, I do want to do like a quick 5 minutes of just what are your takeaways from the first round of the NHL. And then we can figure out how we sort of want to send Mac on his way, I guess. And then I'll be honest, I think at this point, just the way everything's set up, maybe we should just bring Alec in next week. And I don't mean that in a mean way toward him. I just want him here for a full show, you know?
Yeah. That's fine.
Do you agree with that, Mac?
I do. Yeah. And I thought just Tuesday, I mean, after we got into sports, I thought he just kind of fit in pretty well, and he's pretty knowledgeable. So I think a full show with him on would be, we should try it out, see what happens. But it'd be easier to have him for a full show than just have him for whatever 20 minutes or whatever you guys do later.
Yeah, see, we'll sit on the mic with him for a long time tonight if he got on, but as of on-air content, it would really just be Levin and I talking about who just got.
Let's give him another Tuesday session and then have him hit it on Thursday next week or whatever.
Yeah. Sounds good. So before we get into this last segment and Matt gets on his way, Andrew wanted to mention something. So I contacted Chris Pascal yesterday because I was looking through their page. They have up to 3,000 likes on Facebook now on their Facebook page, which they're doing incredible. But talked to Chris, told him what we're doing, told him we weren't sure like what the future necessarily is, but we were gonna like focus on growing the podcast and any way we can do that. He said he was gonna give us a listen. And I was just talking to him about like possibly working, like mentioning each other co-sponsorships at the beginning, since they do have such a large fan base already. I told him I'm gonna meet up with him and Brendan at some point, like next week or the next week or something like that, about posting our episodes on their page, on their website, weekly. I told Mac even at the beginning, like until we have enough followers to kind of warrant them doing that and us mentioning them and it just kind of being a symbiotic kind of relationship, I'd be willing to, I'll just pay them whatever like they want for like a month or two to like throw us up on their page to get some listens, because they do have a decent following now.
Yeah,
I've read some of their stuff. They have some good writers. Like some guys from Wofford, some not, but yeah, I was talking to him about that. He said he's going to give us a listen. I'm going to meet with them in the next like 2 weeks about that. Just wanted to let you know.
Cool, man. Yeah, that sounds good. Just keep us posted. So yeah, I mean, we can just sort of hit NHL loosey goosey into some fun, and then send Mac on his way if you want. Really, my big NHL things are just like OV madness and like how he's not going to be able to sustain it. Golden Knights moving on. What about you, Mac? Anything?
Maybe
Toronto choking again.
I was about to say that Toronto Game 7 last night was as you said, that was an exciting third period. So that the Pittsburgh Penguins just look like they're going to the finals again as of right now. At least making this final next. They like look a lock for like third round. Nashville looks scary. Yeah, we can sit on all of them. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, I think Game 7 is Penguins, and then I'm down to talk about Obi for a second too, and then the Knights.
Okay, which games are tonight in the NHL?
There's a lot of good ones. Penguins,
2 games on tonight.
Caps, and Knights versus
Sharks.
The Sharks.
Okay.
Is that it?
Yeah, it's Penguins, Caps, Golden Knights, Sharks.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
Yeah.
All right, 1 second, then we'll hit it.
Bro, his hair looks amazing.
Amazing? Is that the?
It looks like, what's that guy from fucking Simpsons?
Oh, God damn it. That's brilliant.
Crazy Bob.
Yeah, no, I know you're talking about. Oh, fuck. Okay.
I have to look that up. Insane. What the fuck is his name?
Okay.
Hold on. So I don't have to fucking mute myself.
That was hard.
That was delicious.
I felt that. I think I actually might have tasted that a little bit.
Tasted delicious, didn't it?
Well, I mean, at least you're not washing it down with the Capri Sun like an idiot.
Like, you can go fuck yourself.
And on that note, we bring you back in, listeners, to our podcast. This is From the Nosebleeds. And now we hit NHL. We hit fun. We hit bullshit because we got to get Mac on the road for some bougie interview that he's got, even though he says it's not bougie. And so, Mac Young, other than your Blue Jackets losing, your biggest takeaway from the NHL playoffs so far is?
The Knights looks. I mean, first off, the Penguins just look scary good. Leia just looked like when they want to turn it on, they turn it on, and they looked. I mean, they made the Flyers look like complete fools out there.
Agreed.
That was very fun to watch, and then Game 7 last night. I don't know who caught it, but the Maple Leafs versus the Bruins was a fun game to watch. It was fought hard until around the third period, where either Toronto lost their legs or the Bruins just got the best of them. Started out with they scored They scored 3 goals in the third period.
Yeah.
And that 5th goal that put them ahead was just one of the filthiest goals I've seen in the playoffs.
Yeah,
like
ridiculous.
And just got absolutely demolished into the boards and somehow figured out how to put the puck in the back of the net. So even though I hate Boston fans, that was and I don't really like to see them win, it was fun to watch that game for sure.
Yeah, and I think Boston-Tampa will be a pretty good series. I mean, there's offensively, there's gifted players all over the ice. And so, it should be fun to keep an eye on, man. I think clearly, when Pittsburgh's at their best, they're probably far and away the best team. And, just as they have been the last couple of years. And so why would you expect anything different? Ovi, man, I get so confused. He's able to just turn it on in the first round, it seems like, every year, and then something happens in the second year where he finds himself against the Pittsburgh or someone like that, and things get much more difficult for him.
You said it. He finds himself against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but dude, he's still great, dude, and his greatness should transcend the good team.
Oh, dude. No question, dude. If you look at his stat, I know we got some guys who aren't big on the stats, but he's been in a lot of playoffs and not made it very far, and his playoff goals are it's third all time.
Yeah,
and he never makes it past the second round. And you have Sidney Crosby up there. He's right with Sidney Crosby. He's also a tremendous goal scorer.
Yeah, who probably has 40 or 50 games in hand. Well, maybe not that. A lot. Yeah, probably 40 or 50 games in hand, I would bet. Yeah, because he's made it to so many conference finals and cup finals.
Yeah.
Dude, I think, again, you're right. The Penguins seem really, really fucking just ridiculous. The VGK story is just cool, man. It's cool that we're finally beginning to talk about this Vegas flu in a way that actually acknowledges the fact that they may have the best home ice, home court, home field in professional sports. I think that's probably something that would be interesting to debate and consider at some point. But dude, let's not forget about Tampa, man. The reason that Pittsburgh seems so good to you right now is because they had to play more games than Tampa did in the first round, and they were overwhelming too. And so, dude, you hope that you end up with at least Pittsburgh and Tampa, and then if you can sort of get something decent out west involving some fun teams like Vegas Golden Knights, then I think NHL fans are in a really good place. But it's just been a fun playoff so far, man. It's a shame that Toronto got knocked out last night because they're young and fun, and I think that the sport needs more of that. But, we'll keep watching. I don't have a lot to say on the NHL other than that. It's been really fucking fun so far, dude. And then, dude, it's a pleasure to get to watch Doc Emmerich call games. And that's I don't know how you guys feel about it, but there's no one going in sports right now that makes me feel more happy to be watching what I'm watching than when he's calling an NHL game.
Yeah, I don't have a comment on that one. I don't really I haven't paid attention to much of the
Doc Emmerich's the shit, man. He's the fucking shit. Will Mosley, you had something?
Yeah, I don't know. Out west, I just feel like there's good hockey all around, man. I really do. I think if the Caps finally win, you get the storyline of the Caps Ovi breaking his curse. If the Penguins go back, then you have a chance of the three-peat. You have the Knights out west. I don't think San Jose is a hateable team at all.
No.
You got Winnipeg and the Preds. Like the Preds are electric at that stadium. That's incredible to watch.
Oh, it's
People
awesome.
fell in love with them last year and got annoyed with them by the end of the playoffs because everyone fell in love with them. I mean, they were so loved last year in the playoffs, people turned on them.
Yeah, absolutely, man. They're really fun to watch, and that's why I think. I mean, if you end up with like when you Tampa, Pittsburgh, VGK, Nashville is a pretty fucking tasty pair of conference finals, like no doubt. And even if you finally get Ovechkin there and like he gets over the hump, that would be cool too. I mean, there's so many talented players left, and that's really what it's about. You know, I feel like some years it really comes down to where there aren't a lot of guys that are at the end, but you know, a lot of the really great players in the league are still alive, and so it'll be fun to sort of like, you know, it'll be fun to watch and see. But you know,
should be great, man. There's nothing better than playoff hockey.
There is not, man.
Like
it's another level.
Not my favorite sport. It's not my second, probably not my third favorite sport. But it's when I'm watching playoff hockey, there's nothing more exciting and adrenaline rushing than watching an overtime goal in playoff hockey. There's nothing better. Now, there's nothing worse if you're on the bad end of that, Mac. You can like obviously attest to that with the series you just went through. Like losing that entire series, and you had what 3 overtime games in the first 4 games? Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's what makes it great, and I agree, man. I mean, I'm biased toward hockey, but I'm not sure that there's anything that's more exciting than playoff hockey in sports going right now. I mean, I think there are certain moments, you know, but I can't think of anything right now that's more exciting. That's for sure. I was just about for some reason to say like, oh, you know, like World Cups can be exciting, but our fucking country's not even in it. I'm sure we'll get to that at some point on the podcast. Not today, obviously, but dude, it's been fun as hell to watch so far. I'm enjoying it more than I am the NBA. I think when we get to the conference finals, like I'll start to pay a lot more attention to it, but it's exciting as hell, man. It's a good time in sports, no doubt. We'll be right back. We're going to close up shop with Mac Young, send him on his way down the interstate, and me and Will take it from there. This is from the Nosebleeds. Be right back. All right. I don't really have like any fun topics today.
I got a hypothetical. I got a hypothetical that could be a fun question. Let's bring it back. It's hockey talk. Let's end it with some hockey talk.
Okay.
I got a fun hypothetical question that goes back about the overtimes and how exciting it is. Kind of same theme. It's a theory for a playoff overtime new rule.
Okay.
All right, so we'll go what? You want to go 5 minutes here?
That would put us right back with it. Time.
I'm all right with it.
Our normal time. You're back on video again. Not caring about that anymore. That's a one-time deal.
Because there's like 3 hits in, man.
Will Mosley's ethic just sort of breaks down over the course of the show.
His paranoid is.
You guys fucking you guys break me down. What can I say? You get me to my true self. That's what I feel when I'm here. We're in a little safe space.
All right, so we'll I guess bring it back or
Will, do you want to bring it back since it's yours thing?
I mean, I can.
We can just drop it, like just drop the question and we can go from there.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Let's break. I'll just bring us back. All right. On the playoff hockey scheme, I got a good question for you guys. Got a nice little hypothetical. Let's change it up. I want redemption. You know redemption. Everybody knows it. Beer pong. You make the last cup. Other team has a chance to make their last cup. I love it. It's amazing. There's nothing more electric than making a shot and then having someone else make it and having to go back into more overtime. It's electric. I think we should have that in playoff hockey. You get 2 minutes after an overtime goal to respond. If you score, that team gets 2 minutes to try to score, and then you get so let's say tonight, Golden Knights and Sharks. They go into overtime 3-3. Golden Knights score. Sharks have 2 minutes to score again. They score. It's just overtime. They're back to normal. Sudden death. What do you guys think?
I mean, the only problem is that you're totally devaluing scoring first, which is the only thing that matters in the overtime period.
For hockey, especially, yeah.
I mean, I guess I get what you're saying, dude. I think it would be more cool to see a game of knockout played in the NBA. Could you imagine just LeBron James, okay, instead of overtime, LeBron James, Victor Oladipo, knockout. From the 3-point line in front of 20,000 people, let's get it on. Best 2 out of 3.
I think I'd pick JR over. I feel like JR would be really good at knockout.
I'm just saying, dude.
He makes those ridiculous shots.
But
I'd go with Corver, man. I'd just go with Corver.
Oh,
yeah, that's true, dude. No, someone would have to feed it to him, though, dude. He can only shoot if someone feeds it to him, dude. I don't know. He's got
a weird. Al Horford needs to pass. Al Horford should be in the 3-point competition, but he takes the ball off the rack, passes it in, passes it back out, and he sets up and takes the 3.
It's a sort of weird form of the yips where he doesn't have the ability to leave his feet unless anyone forcefully feeds him the ball with a chest pass, dude. I mean, it's interesting, man, but dude, the playoff hockey is already fun enough, man. Don't you think? I mean,
do you think they should go back to 4 since what they have in the regular season, or do you like having 5 players out there?
I mean, I'm okay with 5 in the playoffs, man. You play 82 games to get yourself into the playoffs, so you should have the right to play the actual game. I mean, I understand what you're saying. Maybe you go 3-on-3 like it is in the regular season, but then, I mean, dude, no one is skating at 3-on-3 for more than 10 minutes without a goal being scored. And I think that to a certain extent, the NHL likes that some of these games go late into the night because it increases their TV revenue and they don't necessarily mind it as much as they say they do. Dude, I would love to see the games decided at 3-on-3 like they are in the regular season. It's exceptionally exciting and it takes a lot less time than some of these other overtime games. Now, granted, we've been pretty lucky so far these playoffs. I think we've made it maybe into 1 or 2 double overtime play, but nothing any more significant than that. But, there are years where some of these games will go forever, and there will be one at some point during these playoffs that does. But it's just been fun as hell to watch, man, the NHL and NBA both. I'm not sure that there's a more interesting time in sports than right now.
Definitely
I agree. Best time in sports. You got 2 months of playoffs of people giving it their all. It's a good time.
And so Mac Young, before we let you drive off into the dark of the night, any other takes that you've got to get off your chest?
I don't think I have anything this week. There's a lot. Watching TV, the sports that are out there speak for themselves. We'll see what happens tonight with the Browns.
I was about to say,
or just the draft, dude. I mean, the draft. It's gonna be interesting.
1-4.
I think they'll go with Darnold, and then I think Barkley will be at 4.
Okay.
What do you think? Or who else? Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what I think in about a minute and a half. All the listeners will hear what I think. So you won't. You'll be in the car. So you'll find out later.
It's so Mac Young. We will bid you adieu, my friend. Until next week. We appreciate the time, the production expertise as always, man. Safe travels, all right, buddy?
Peace out, everyone. I hope you have a good night.
Will Mosley. I got one more thing for you, though, man. More surprising that Bartolo Colon does steroids or that D. Gordon does steroids?
Bartolo Colon.
That's a fat person bias right there, dude.
You're 100% correct.
That is absolutely a fat person bias, dude. And that's another thing worth exploring, dude. Why is it still okay that the fat bias is allowed to exist, but other ones are not? Is fat and bald? Put that up on the poll, non-existent producer Mac Young. Are fat and bald biases the only ones that are allowed to exist in 2018? Yes or no?
I mean, in what ways are you saying?
I mean, dude, I just think it's interesting that like I just think bald people and fat people, like you can make fun of them more than you can any other type of person in 2018, dude. It's still accepted. Why is that? I'm just interested in it.
Because it's funny. I think that's pretty easy, man. It's hilarious.
And so anyway, here's the deal. I guess we'll let the listener behind the curtain for a little bit. Mac Young just took off. It is not draft time yet, but me and Will Mosley are still here. We may or we may not, we're not sure yet, return at some points during the draft to give some thoughts and feelings. Probably mostly, though, about how ridiculously greased up Mel Kiper's hair is and how fake white Todd McShay's mouth is. Right? I mean, those are really my two big takeaways from the draft every year.
Oh, I mean, those two guys are more electric than anything that happens at the actual NFL draft.
Why, Will? Why do we care about what Todd McShay and Mel Kiper Jr. have to say? Why should I care about what anyone has to say about anything having to do with the draft, dude? No one knows anything.
Nah, but somebody's going to be talking about it, man, and you can listen to them, or you can listen to us. That would probably be preferable. We're pretty smart people. You should listen to us and our evaluation. And our evaluation is fuck 15-year-olds tweets, and the Browns are going to fuck up the draft. And I think that I just said just as much as Mel Kiper does.
We are smart people. You are right about that, Mr. Mosley. That's William Mosley. I'm Andrew Levin. This has been From the Nosebleeds podcast, not to be confused with the Tennessee Titans From the Nosebleeds podcast. Will Mosley, any other thoughts before we get out of here for a bit?
Hope everybody has a nice day, and maybe stay tuned. You might get a little sneak peek of a little extra bonus action if you listen through the last song. Who knows?
We're giving good wishes. We're wishing good days. It's been a good day. My name is Andrew Levin. This has been From the Nosebleeds podcast. We will catch you next week, people. Au revoir.
Love you guys.
Cool, dude.